Okay, don't mind this pink shirt. I feel like I literally wear it in every single video, but I'm about to go see Barbie, so it's justified. Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. Today's video is very exciting. I've never really done anything like this. We're gonna be doing Instagram chooses the books I read. I've seen a lot of people do this, and I feel like it's a great way to actually get through my TBR for the month and not just reading specific books in a video. And if you want to be involved in anything like this in the future for videos, go ahead and follow over there. Or if you just want to keep up with my life, you know, I'm pretty exciting. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the two books that are gonna be facing off for our first little voting session. They're both kind of like book talk, booktube, bookstagram classics that I just haven't gotten around to reading yet, and I've really wanted to, but they're also super hyped up, which makes me so nervous to read them because I'm like, what if I don't like them? Always makes me so nervous. With that being said, the first book is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I've heard so much about this book, so many great things. I honestly haven't really heard a lot of negative things about it, and I don't really know what it's about. I know it's about Macy and Elliot. I know it's a childhood friends to lovers, a second chance type of romance, and I think they both really enjoy reading. It also just like looks super cute. We love pink, obviously very on brand for the day, and I just know that all the people that have read this that have very similar tastes to me have loved it, given it 5 stars, raved about it, talk about it all the time. The book that it's going to be up against is another classic, like I said, which is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. And again, don't really know much about this one either. I'll be honest, I don't really like to know a lot about my books before I go into them, just because I like to be surprised and I don't like to know everything about it. I am very interested to see which one of these win, because they're both very popular, so I feel like a lot of people maybe prefer one or the other or haven't read both of them. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like Archer's Voice might win. I don't know why. Hello? I don't know why, and I don't have like a direct pull over which book I would rather read in this moment either. I'm really down for anything right now. They're both romances, which is kind of what I'm in the mood for. Okay, let's go ahead and post them. Which one should I read? Archer's Voice or Love and Other Words? Okay, I just posted the story to my Instagram, and I will be back tomorrow with the results of who the winner is. Okay, it is the next day. Let's go ahead and check out our poll to see what book I'm gonna start reading. Okay, it looks like the winner is Love and Other Words, which I am very excited for. I would have been excited if it was either of the books, to be honest, just because I have heard so many great things about both of them. But it was 30% Archer's Voice, 70% Love and Other Words. So we are going to be reading Love and Other Words for our first book of the video. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, time for our first update on Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, but I have two things first. Number one, don't mind this, it's super wrinkly. Number two, let me put you on to the best candy that I've had in a really long time. These guys right here. I am a Sour Patch watermelon stan, but sometimes, like, I'm not the biggest fan of sour candy, so sometimes when I have the watermelons, I'm like, these though, the strawberries, they were made to be sweeter. It literally says not so sour on them. I could literally eat the whole bag in one sitting if I wanted to. Anyways, I'm currently on page 162 of Love and Other Words. I have already cried twice. One time I think was in like the first 50 pages, and then I also cried another time, which I think was around the 100-ish page mark, but I don't really remember exactly what happened. Basically, Macy, who is the girl main character in this book and the person that we're getting the point of view from, hold up, I'm getting way too far in. Let me tell you what this is actually about, because I know I've definitely not done that yet. So like I said, we have our main character, Macy. She's a physician and she works at a hospital, and she's just very busy all the time. And she also has a fiance named Sean, which I don't know really how I feel about their relationship yet. I don't really have any feelings towards Sean, besides the fact that I feel like they're moving too fast. Sean also has, I think, a 6-year-old daughter named Phoebe, and Sean, Macy, and Phoebe all live together. But the weird part to me is that Sean and Macy are engaged when they were only dating for 2 months. So riddle me that. There also just hasn't been that much of Sean in the book, but the book's not about Sean. It's about Elliot. We haven't really gotten a lot of Elliot in the present day because this is kind of like a then and now story, but Elliot in the past is just so sweet and endearing and wholesome. Like when you think of like the perfect guy that you would want to fall in love with as a kid, you think of Elliot. And the way that Elliot and Macy get to know each other is her dad actually buys this like weekend house in the town that Elliot lives in. Elliot and Macy are neighbors, and that's kind of how they met. And they both absolutely absolutely adore reading. So every time that Macy comes into town, Elliot comes over to her house and they read together in her little closet that her dad made into a little library for her, which is absolutely precious. Just picturing it in my mind, like that's what I want for a library. But they basically grow up together from the ages of 13 to I think 18, and then they just stop talking. And I have absolutely no idea what happened, no hinting, no nothing in the book so far that I've read. But this book is kind of like crack, like a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Like I can't put it down. But I don't know, I adore this book so far and I'm so excited to get into it more.
We used to have each other's playlists. No, no. Used to be each other's best friends. Yeah.
Okay, currently on page 339 of Love and Other Words. I am absolutely loving this, eating every bit of it up. Elliot is like the perfect romance book boyfriend. I actually just read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, and I'm not gonna lie, Elliot kind of reminds me a lot of Jack. He just reads Macy very well, knows exactly what she's thinking, and because they've known each other since they were kids, they just get each other like nobody else really does. And like I said earlier, there's like a reason why they didn't talk for like 11 or 10 years or something like that, and I still have no idea what that is, but I have a feeling that I'm about to get to it since I am almost done with the book. I think it's about 400 pages. So I have 60 pages left. I am kind of on the edge of my seat a little bit. And honestly, I just really want to finish it today because I am absolutely loving it and I just want to know what happens. Since I'm probably going to be finishing Love and Other Words today, I have another stack of books to choose from, and we're going to go ahead and post the poll right now for the next book, because when I read a really good book, if I don't get immediately into the next book, I'm just instantly in a slump. We have quite a few options, but there are some that I'm gravitating towards more than others. I don't want to read Every Summer After because I've heard it's a lot like Love and Other Words. I also don't really want to read People We Meet on Vacation right now. This one's a chonker. I do need to get to this one though this month because the third one comes out in September, I think. This is Things We Hide from the Light. It's in the little small town knock 'em out series, but it's just not the vibe right now, and neither is Terms and Conditions in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna do Book Lovers against Icebreaker. I don't think you guys can really tell, but it is actually so dark in here right now. I don't really have a lot of lights in my room. It's mainly just skylights and windows, and it just started raining and the sky is so dark. Guys, it looks so bad. Okay, anyways, hopefully this is a little bit better. Let's go ahead and post the poll. Which one next? Book Lovers or Icebreaker? Okay, I just posted the poll, and I don't know, I was really wrong last time as to which one that everybody was gonna pick. I really thought they were gonna pick Archer's Voice. And again, these are two super hyped up books that I just haven't had the chance to get to, but just because one of them's written by Emily Henry, and Emily Henry is like super well known, like not just her books, but her as an author is super well known, I think people are gonna pick Book Lovers. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the poll says, and I will update you guys on that tomorrow. But for today, I'm gonna go ahead and finish Love and Other Words. I am so excited, especially now that it's raining. The perfect reading weather. Okay guys, I have officially finished Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and I'll be honest, I know this is a 5-star read for a lot of people, and I really thought it was going to be too, because at the beginning, like I said, I was eating it up, I was kicking my feet, I was enjoying every single little bit of it, and I was also zipping through it really fast just because I kind of fell in love with Macy and Elliot and their love story, and then I also really just liked Elliot. While I was explaining Love and Other Words, it really didn't make any sense, so let me just bring you up to speed on my thoughts. Basically, I was hooked right from the start. I loved it, like I said earlier, but then all of a sudden at the end, I was just completely turned off to the reason why they didn't speak for like all those years. I don't know, I was just kind of turned off to it, and at first whenever I read it, I didn't really realize what happened. Something basically happened to Elliot that just was not okay, and so like to me the ending makes sense, but also the way that they wrapped everything up about what happened to him really wasn't cool, and I feel like it was just kind of like a rush ending, and I feel like because of what happened, I just cannot justify giving this a 5-star. Those are all my thoughts on Love and Other Words, at least the ones that I can share without spoiling the entire thing. So let's go ahead and look at our poll and see which one won. Again, it was between Icebreaker and Book Lovers, and as you guys know, I said I thought it was gonna be Book Lovers. I was wrong. Again, isn't that hilarious? If I get the third one wrong too, I'm actually like what am I doing? I'm just wrong about everything. There it is. I'm never right. Anyways, Icebreaker ended up winning. It was 62% to 38%. So today we are going to go ahead and start Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I honestly don't know a lot about this one. It is dual POV, which I'm very excited about, but it's about this girl named Anastasia, and she's an ice skater, and then this guy named Nathan, and he's a hockey player. I'm not really sure how they like intermingle, but I'm excited to find out. Let's go ahead and get into Icebreaker by Hannah Grace.
You left the kitchen light on and it's 2 to go with it. It's better in your arms. Hold me when I'm scared. Will I be safe if I find a way to keep us both like this? 'Cause I can't imagine being away. But the things you do say otherwise, and I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one that tries.
Okay, I'm on page 213 of Icebreaker, and I feel like I'm about halfway through. I didn't really say what this was about. Basically, the two main characters are Anastasia and Alan. Alan? Who is Alan? That's her last name. Nathan. Different. They are. So, yeah. The two main characters are Anastasia and Nathan plays hockey, and Anastasia is a figure skater. They both go to the same college, and they both do like their respective sports at that college, and they're both very good at what they do. They're very respected athletes. Nathan's even like the captain of the hockey team, and Anastasia could go to the Olympics someday. Classic my tripod shrinking. Let me fix that. Okay, that's better. And they've never really had to interact or talk before, but that was before there was a little incident with the hockey team's ice skating rink, and so now they have to share an ice skating rink. So at the very beginning of the book, they talk about how their teams have to now share an ice skating rink, and they have to like figure out each other's schedules and work around it and stuff like that. So that's how they finally became officially acquainted with one another. Nathan, like I said, who is the captain of the hockey team, he's like a super sweet, down-to-earth, kind of like golden retriever-y in a way, but also not. Like if you could envision a super nice and like respectful hockey player, but still like kind of like a dude's dude, like hockey player guy, like I'm in college, that's Nathan. He's giving Hannah Montana a best of both worlds moment. Stassi does not want anything to do with Nathan. She's very cold to him. She doesn't want a relationship. She doesn't want anything to do with it. She doesn't even want to be friends with the hockey team at all. And I'll be honest, just from the cover, this book is nothing like I expected it to be. I thought it was maybe gonna be like some cutesy like rom-com-y moment maybe, but it is definitely not that. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty steamy. Okay. And it also like starts off pretty quick. Like it was in the first 150 pages where most of the stuff was happening, which most of the time I'm more into like a slow burn where it takes a while to get to that bit. Mainly like the last third of the book talks about that, but this one just got right into it. If you've heard anything about this book, the Uber scene, yeah, it's that good. Yeah. It was kind of nuts. It was, yeah. I think I just got to a big plot point in the book where things are gonna kind of change, and I kind of like where it's going. It's gonna add a little spice to what's already happening. Not that kind of spice. I'll be completely honest, I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I like Nathan and Stassi a lot together, and I also really like the background characters. Stassi's friends are cool, Nathan's friends are cool, the hockey team's cool. The only person that I really despise is Aaron, her skating partner, which I don't think we're gonna be seeing him as much. I literally cannot stand him. The one word that comes to mind whenever I think of Aaron is weasel. He just gives me weasel vibes, rat vibes, and I just... absolutely not. Bye, little weasel. Crawl back in your hole. Overall, really enjoying this so far, and I'm hoping to maybe finish it tonight, and if not, I'm definitely gonna finish it tomorrow. have officially finished Icebreaker and I adored this book. And there are so many reasons why. The found family was so good. I just don't even know how to put it into words. I really wasn't expecting it to be like that either. I think this whole book, especially what I've already said, is just nothing as to what I expected. All of course though in a good way. Also it talks about very real topics, and during the beginning I did not think it was going to be like this. It talks about EDs, it talks about therapy, it talks about anxiety, it talks a lot about manipulation, and it was just very deep in that way, which I just wasn't expecting. I'll say it now, and I'll probably say it again at the end whenever I give my rating for this book, but I hate, loathe, despise Aaron Carlisle. He's a scum of the earth, he's a rat, he's a weasel. He's a no from me. Anyways, I love this book. It was super cute and fun, a very refreshing read. And now on into our final book of this video, which I actually have no idea what it's gonna be, or at least which ones you're really gonna be choosing from. I have gotten some book mail in the mail. I think I got 3 books, so I think we're gonna open those up and then decide from those. I just unboxed all 3 of the new books that I got on TikTok, so definitely go follow me on there if you aren't yet. Let me go ahead and show you guys all of our options. I was just thinking about picking 2 books from stuff that I already had too, but honestly, the only books that I have left in there, I think besides 1 book and then the ACOTAR series, are all romances. And I just read 2 romances, and I don't really want to read a romance right now, unless it kind of has like more layers to it, if that makes any sense. I just don't want it to be like plain romance. So the first book is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. A lot of people have been talking about this lately, and if you don't know what it is, it's basically just like a young adult Criminal Minds. Jennifer Lynn Barnes too is best well known for writing the Inheritance Game series, and I've actually never read that, but I really want to. But since a lot of people are talking about this right now, I have the itch to read this first, so this is the first option. Our second book is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, I guess now, because the third one comes out in October. I think it's called A Curse for True Love, and I am so excited to get to this. I really enjoyed the first one. It's kind of like a fantasy romance, but it's more fairy tale-esque. And yeah, I don't know, I've just heard glowing reviews about this book, and everybody says that it's even better than the first one, and that the end of it literally left them like heartbroken. So I really want to read this one. And then this last book, I feel like everybody's talking about it right now. It's Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I'll be honest, I don't really know a lot about this book, but so many people that I feel like I have the same reading taste as have rated it 5 stars. And I think it's a romance, but I think it's like a historical romance. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, since I have 3 of them, I obviously have to dwindle it down to just 2. And I think I know which one I want to read. If it was my choice right now, I would definitely be reading The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. So that's definitely one of our options. Okay, I don't know if I said this was just a romance, but it's definitely like a fantasy romance. And it's also historical. I think I've said like 5 different things as to what it is, but it is a historical fantasy romance. I think I'm gonna pick Divine Rivals. I am really excited to read this, but I just don't think I'm like in the exact mood for it. So we're gonna choose between these 2, Divine Rivals and The Ballad of Never After. And let's see, since I've been wrong every other time when I thought I could guess which book that everybody was gonna pick, I honestly have no idea. I will say that I really want to read The Ballad of Never After, like I said earlier, but I think everybody's gonna pick Divine Rivals for some reason. I think it's just because it's really hyped right now, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and I will be back tomorrow to tell you guys which book won. Okay, don't mind me. I look like I'm back in my sporty girl softball era from middle school, sporting my little bun and the headband. It's really just the headband. I just did not want to wash my hair today, so this is what we're going with. Okay, so yesterday we posted the poll, and now let's go ahead and see the results. I know it was between Divine Rivals and The Ballad of Never After. Let's take a look. What is it? Guys, I got what I wanted. It was 73% The Ballad of Never After and 27% Divine Rivals. And I've just heard so many great things about the second one. Love the first one. So let's go ahead and dive on in. started The Ballad of Never After, and obviously this is a spoiler-free reading vlog, but also since it is a sequel, there's not much that I can say about it that I don't already know from the first book. So before I get really into it and maybe say things that I probably shouldn't, aka spoilers, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about kind of what the whole trilogy is about. I actually have the first book in the trilogy right here. It's called Once Upon a Broken Heart, and basically the whole series is about a girl named Evangeline Fox. And it's kind of like a fairy tale fantasy romance. And if you've never read fantasy before, I highly recommend starting with these books because it's a good segue into like high fantasy and just other types of fantasy. Basically, Evangeline is in love with this guy, and out of nowhere he just like stops talking to her, but he's getting married to this other girl. So she's not really sure what's going on there, but she goes to what they call almost gods, but they're not really gods, they're called fates. So basically, Evangeline goes to the Prince of Hearts' church to kind of like pray to him. The Prince of Hearts' name is Jax, and I love this man. But they end up making a wager, a deal of sorts, and Evangeline has always been told you never want to make a deal with a fate, but she does it anyways. And it ends up turning into something completely different. And it's obviously in this very like magical fairy tale-esque kind of world. I really don't want to say any more because I feel like I will give something away, because that is probably one of my favorite parts of these books, is that I never know what's gonna happen next. Genuinely, I have no idea, and every time something like that happens, I'm like, what? Speaking of, I'm gonna go ahead and dive back into the book. I've been reading The Ballad of Never After for most of the morning, and I just got to part 3. Just finished page 330, which means I have about 70 pages left. I am really enjoying it so far. I think I'm liking it a lot more than I initially thought I would, and I'm just really enjoying it so far. I really don't know what else to say. I think I touched on this earlier about the first one too, but there are so many twists in these books that you really just don't expect, and it just makes them have so many more layers than just like the regular plot. Like even in just regular fantasy books that I read, I feel like there's not as many like twists and turns and uncovering of information as there is in these ones. In the last like 100 pages or so, we've really been finding out a lot about Jax in this book, which is the Prince of Hearts that I mentioned at the beginning whenever I was kind of explaining what this trilogy is about. And we don't really know a lot about him. We just know that he's kind of like an anti-hero kind of guy. And I don't know, just finding more and more about him is just super interesting, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. I've heard this book is very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. Like, I don't think it's sad, but maybe it's like messy, like it'll leave you kind of like questioning things, or like it's just like tragic. Obviously I don't know because I haven't finished the book yet. It's about to be 1 o'clock, so I definitely think that I can finish this today just because I only have 70 pages left, and I also really want to finish it today. So I genuinely think I'm just gonna go downstairs, get comfy, pop in my AirPods, and then just crank this out. Okay, as you guys saw, I have officially finished The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, and I literally cannot wait. Like, physically, the waiting, I cannot do it. For A Curse for True Love, which is the 3rd and final book of the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I know a lot of people have read these books and they've been like, oh my gosh, like it leaves off on a cliffhanger. There has never been a cliffhanger quite like this. And I almost never do this, but I already rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. Like, that's how good it is. One of my favorite books of all time, and literally all I said was like pain period, because that's what it is. It's pain. Period. Okay, sorry, I had to change out my SD card. Okay, let's go ahead and do a quick little reading wrap up of all the books that I read in this video. The first book was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and I'm gonna rate this a 4.5 star. About 90% through the book, I really thought it was going to be a 5 star. The writing is so beautiful, and Elliot and Macy's love story and the way that they're just kind of almost tethered together. Like, when I think of Invisible String by Taylor Swift, I think of Elliot and Macy. Well, and like a lot of other songs by Taylor Swift. I think of LA Amazing, like Back to December, if you know what I'm saying. But it's just like there's this like invisible string, this tether, like always pulling them back to each other. And I think that's so beautiful. I, however, cannot rate this 5 stars because of the conflict and the reasoning as to why they were not together. It was honestly kind of, I don't really know how to say this. It was kind of like disturbing a little bit, and I'm not going to say what happened obviously because it is a spoiler, but it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And for me personally, I cannot justify a book having that in it in the way that it did a 5-star rating. The next book I read was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I'm also going to be rating this one a 4.5. I absolutely love this book, love this couple, Nathan and Stassi, and just how the entire book, they were both surprising me. The beginning, you just think it's going to be like this lusty, steamy, kind of like insta-love book, but Hannah Grace just kept surprising me, and I just absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the characters, I fell in love with the found family, I fell in love with the way that it talked about real things, and the characters felt so real to me. It did feel like a little long, but honestly I'm gonna let it slide just because I enjoyed the world of Maple Hills just so much, and I'm so excited for Wildfire, which is about to come out in October. But yeah, I highly recommend this if you haven't read it. I feel like a lot of people have just because it's very hyped on Book Talk, but I will warn you that it is very steamy. Definitely one of the steamiest books that I have ever read. And last but certainly not least, I read The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, and of course, like I said, I rated this one a 5-star. This was a really good reading video. We had some high ratings. Again, this book is so beautifully tragic in all the right ways, and I cannot recommend it enough. You need to read this trilogy. Okay, those were all 3 of the books that I read in this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Also comment down below if you have any thoughts on these books or any other ones that you want me to read. And yeah, I think that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Yeah. And he's actually the captain in it. Let's get it, Pauper.
Where's Mary J. Blige coming in at?
I don't know, I think I heard it from TikTok.